Hello and welcome everyone. This is how to migrate workloads to the Google Cloud Platform. My name is David Davis and I'll be the moderator and initial speaker on today's event, which is sponsored by Shoreline Systems. If you have questions during the event, which we encourage you to do, please use the GoToMeeting question box to enter your question there, and we'll be answering those either during the event or in our Q&A session at the end of the event. Now, during the webinar, there'll be a couple points where we ask you, the audience, to answer a couple quick poll questions so that we can learn a little bit more about you and your needs and your interest in the Google Cloud and migrating to the Google Cloud. Now, there are 3 lucky attendees on today's webinar who will be walking away with a $100 Visa gift card each. So make sure you stay tuned for that drawing at the end of the event. So with that, we've got a lot to cover. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's kick it off by telling you just briefly a little bit about myself and my co-presenter today. Again, my name is David Davis. I'm a 7-time VMware vExpert, VMware VCP, a CCIE, and a video training author, especially around the topic of virtualization and cloud computing for Pluralsight.com. I'm also a partner at Actual Tech Media, who has brought to you today's event. So I've been in the IT industry many years, over 25 years now, and I've worked in the data center, learning a lot about, cloud computing and migrations and everything. So this event is of special interest to me today. Now, I want to point out, you might be wondering what happened to the Google Cloud speaker. Our speaker today from Google Cloud unfortunately had an unexpected last-minute event and wasn't able to join us for today's webinar. However, don't go anywhere. We have his presentation. I'll be covering his content, and he has authorized us to give out additional Google Cloud credits, which we'll be talking about at the end of the event. So, make sure you stay tuned for that. I'm also joined today by Mr. Jack Wojciechowski. Jack, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thanks, David. I've been in the computer business for about the same time, a little over 25 years. I started at Veritas Software with their volume manager, so I'm kind of rooted in the storage background. I eventually got into the CDP space with Mendocino Software and started in the virtualization space with them. I've also worked at Panzura on their global cloud-based file system before I joined Shoreline last year.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thanks for being on the event today. And by the way, Jack, I love your title, Chief Scientist. It makes you sound a little bit like Mr. Spock. I think it's very cool.
Thank you.
So I hope you'll be. I'm looking forward to sharing and learning, some really cool knowledge from you today about migrating to Google Cloud. So if you're interested in following us on Twitter or asking questions via Twitter before or after the event, all of our Twitter information is up there. Actual Tech Media, David M. Davis, Google Cloud, and of course our sponsor, Shoreline Systems. So before we jump into Google Cloud and migrating to the cloud, I want to first take a quick step back here and just kind of talk about why our company is so interested in the cloud. What makes it so attractive? I mean, I think in my opinion, in general, it's just the thought that moving to the cloud will make the life of the IT administrator easier in many ways, and it will also help the company's bottom line financially when it comes to paying for their IT infrastructure costs. At many companies, the data center and the IT department is seen as a cost center to the bottom line, a real cost that's taking away from the company's profits. And the appeal here on the cloud is that you can pay just for what you use. You can pay in many cases per minute. You can get immediate capacity on demand when you need it. You don't have to wait. So you gain, tremendous business agility by being able to bring up new infrastructure as your business applications really demand it. And as your end users demand new capacity, maybe you make an acquisition or you want to open up new locations, you can very quickly bring up the infrastructure for that, within minutes as compared to maybe weeks or months, in the past with your traditional in-house data center. There's also, advanced features that are built into cloud infrastructure, high availability, load balancing, things that in traditional on-premises data centers might be complex to set up or costly, to implement. Of course, you have massive scalability, so companies that are growing rapidly or who have demands, for example, at the retail during the retail season for massive capacity for their infrastructure, the cloud, can provide that on demand, and then when they're done, they can shrink that capacity down. So they call it elasticity, in the compute that's offered by the cloud. And then also, I think people need to keep in mind, though, that just like your in-house data center, when it comes to the cloud, you also need to ensure that it's secure and ensure that you have high availability, because security and high availability are at a higher level in many cases with the cloud, but they're not always automatic, and so you don't want to make any assumptions. Other questions that companies ask about, the cloud is, is it right for us? Is it right for our applications? What should we run and what should we not run? And if we did want to run an application in the cloud, how would we get from point A to point B? How would we move our production applications that the users are using today? How would we get those into the cloud, without massive downtime and tremendous risk? And that's why I'm so glad that Shoreline is on the event today to talk about that, because they're really the experts in that topic, is migrating to the cloud while minimizing downtime. So here's what we're going to be talking about in the event. We're going to talk about what makes up the Google Cloud Platform. What is GCP? I'll help you to understand how Google Cloud can help you. And then we'll discover how to plan, how to test, how to cut over your workloads to the Google Cloud and migrate, not just one, but maybe even 10 or hundreds or thousands of workloads to the Google Cloud Platform without downtime, or while minimizing downtime. So before we jump into it, I've got 2 quick survey questions I'd like to ask you out there in the audience to learn a little bit more about you and help us to tailor this event and future events. So the first question you see there on your screen is, what's the size of your company? Roughly how many employees do you have at your company? So it's always interesting to see, is it just small companies who are interested in the cloud, or is it only very large enterprises, or is it everyone in between? And my bet is that it's going to be everyone in between, but we'll just see. So let's see, more than half of you out there have voted. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll, and let me share the results with you. So you can see the sizes of companies that are on the event today. There's small companies from 1 to 250 employees, all the way up to 5,000 plus employees represented on the event today. So thanks so much for joining us, no matter what size your company is. I think the Google Cloud and migrating to the cloud really should be of interest to everyone out there. And then one other poll question here before we move on, and that is, are you planning to migrate workloads to the cloud? A simple yes or no question. Do you have plans to migrate, whether it's even just for test and development? Do you have plans to migrate any of your workloads to the cloud? And I assume that's why you're on the event today, because you're interested in doing so, or you might be interested in the future. All right, so it looks like most everyone out there has voted. Let me go ahead and close the poll. And as you can see, 63% of the folks joining us today are planning to migrate some sort of workload to the cloud. So you're not alone out there. You're not the only one thinking of migrating to the cloud. All right, so let's talk about Google Compute. What is Google Compute? You've probably heard of Microsoft Azure. You've heard of Amazon Web Services. There's a lot of different cloud computing offerings out there. So who is Google Compute? And are they similar? Are they different? I actually don't have a big comparison to do here between the different cloud players. But you should know that Google, of course, for the past 16 years, they've been building the world's fastest, most powerful cloud infrastructure on the planet. You're familiar with them, I'm sure, from YouTube, from Google Search, Google Mail, Android, Google Maps, Chrome, things we use every day. But it's this Google Cloud infrastructure that makes all of those apps possible. So it's kind of like if you have seen high availability and trustworthiness from these types of more consumer-based applications, think about the infrastructure that's underneath that makes those applications possible. The Google Cloud Platform, also known as GCP, is built on the same infrastructure that powers all of those Google apps. So it has to be flexible. It has to have superior economics because, as you know, most of those applications we use, like Gmail, are free. So they can't be spending as much on Google Mail as a typical enterprise spends to keep one Exchange user right up and running. They have to be able to do things as low cost as possible and still offer massive scalability, performance, and high availability. So they have a fast network, they have always available storage, and it's a very robust infrastructure that powers big data. This Google Compute solution not only runs virtual machines, like you would typically think of, say, in a vSphere infrastructure, but it also runs containers. If you're not familiar with containers, containers are, you can think of them as not the entire virtual machine with the operating system and applications, but just the application only. So it's a very lightweight way and a very efficient way to run an application. And then they can also run things in what they call their app engine. So you have all the way from virtualized hardware all the way to completely abstracted computing power with the ability to just run a single application. When it comes to the Google Compute Engine specifically, they have fast, easy provisioning. You really pay for what you use. They say that you build in minute-level increments, so you don't pay for unused computing time. There's also high-performance virtual machines, so there's different types of virtual machines available to you. You can do batch computing for heavy compute jobs, and everything in the Google Compute Engine is encrypted on the fly and then transmitted and stored. So when it comes to block storage here, basically Google Compute offers a lot of different types of storage available, and you really have to look at your IOPS and your performance requirements, and with that they can offer different types of storage. So streaming I/O, SQL databases, file servers, NFS, Gluster, like NFS, Gluster and Ceph, high performance scratch disk, big data for Hadoop deployments. There's a lot of flexibility really in what they can do. Google's Edge network, they have more than 70 points of presence around the world across 33 countries. So they've created the broadest reaching network of any cloud provider. And the benefit to that is they have points of presence that are near to the end users, near to your users who are using your applications. When it comes to storage in Google Compute, they have cloud storage for object storage. For example, if you need to store a massive amount of videos or image files, they have SQL storage for if you have applications that need SQL database backends. So really SQL as a service or database, kind of on demand. And they have cloud data stores. These are managed NoSQL schemaless databases. That's kind of hard to say. Schemaless databases for storing non-relational data. So then kind of the question here is, the final question is, why Google? In looking at Google, what I've learned is, they're really focused on innovation. So they're focused on, big data. They have a new product called Cloud Data Flow, which focuses on big data. They're focused on containers. So they have a product called Kubernetes, which is a container management system. They have developer tools, debugging, tracing, monitoring support. They have super scalable storage all the way from SSD to object. They have transparent maintenance periods, and they have, they say, the most powerful software-defined network on the planet. So there's many benefits to looking at Google, but according to Google, you should look at their tremendous innovation that they're doing, really cutting-edge stuff in the world of cloud computing. All right, so with that, I'd like to move into how to get from point A to point B, how to migrate your existing applications from your in-house data center to a cloud platform like Google Cloud. And with that, I'm proud to be joined by Mr. Jack Wachowski. Jack, let me go ahead and change presenter over to you so we can see your screen. Yeah, take it away, Jack. Tell us a little bit about, how to migrate to Google's cloud platform without downtime or while minimizing downtime. Is it even possible?
Oh, absolutely. And thanks, David, for that great presentation on the Google Cloud. Um, First, a little bit about, oops, let's see if I can, there we go. A little bit about Shoreline. We're a company focused on system and data transformation and application mobility, which is the ability to move your servers and workloads between potentially incompatible environments seamlessly and efficiently. The technology allows the replication and movement of systems and data from any source, any hardware, physical systems, any hypervisor virtual systems of some kind, or any public or private cloud to any virtualized platform, clouds or hyperconverged platforms, and most notably into the Google Cloud Platform, all using a controlled and manageable process and workflow. Our products include the SureEdge Migrator, which we'll focus on today, and it's used for migrating and onboarding systems from anywhere to anywhere. This enables the migration of systems and data across incompatible environments for whatever reason you need to move them. Our DR product, called SureEdge DR, uses the same underlying technology to provide disaster recovery and business continuous solutions, either in a local virtualized environment, between two sites, or even using clouds as the DR target. And we have a SureEdge Enterprise Manager, which is a global manager for managing multiple SureEdge instances. This gives you a global view and centralizes the policies and management of migration and DR instances that you have. In general, the Shoreline features, the highlights here, are that we support any-to-any. We can capture from any type of source, as I said, physical, virtual, or public or private cloud, and move it to any virtualized destination. And we handle any transformations or compatibility issues between the sites, and we will do all the operations required to get your system working in its new environment. We support a wide variety of applications directly, and this is to assure that we capture all the required components, all the configuration information, and all the required pieces to get your system moved as a whole into your new environment, and to provide consistent data and system images so that you're not getting crashed consistent images when you move. To do all this, we use smart data management. We have a unique global deduplication technology. We also use compression to efficiently make use of storage space and especially your network bandwidth. And we use encryption to protect data in flight and at rest. So we only move the minimum amount of data that's required to get you moved from one place to another, and we move it safely and securely. And big features are manageability. SureEdge uses efficient DR and migration planning workflows to simplify and automate the operations. And it's built to handle easily any special cases or exceptions you have. So things that are simple to move are very simple to move, and things that are hard to move are simple to move. This includes support for testing and verification to automatically make sure that you have the ability to easily incorporate or easily move your system to the required destination. And we can incorporate special case operations such as licensing changes or virus protection into the process. And this is all managed globally across an enterprise from a single pane of glass. A little look at how we achieve this. This is kind of our solution architecture. And on the left-hand side, it represents a source site, like your customer site and your data center, or perhaps even another cloud. You can see that we have a SureEdge instance running here as virtual machines in that environment. And their job is to capture the systems and data that you want moved. It also gives you the ability to perform local recoveries and instantiate those systems in the local environment. This supports testing to make sure, hey, did we capture exactly what you want, and is it working as a virtual machine? The images are also undergo a deduplication process and are encrypted and compressed and then stored locally before they're transferred to the target site. On the right-hand side, that represents the Google Cloud Platform, where you want your systems to come up. We have another instance of SureEdge Migrator running there, and its job is to receive the data streams from your source site or even multiple source sites. It's also responsible for making any required transformations or fixes and performing the recoveries and instantiation of systems in the cloud for your testing and for your final cutover, or in the case of DR, for disaster recovery. The two instances communicate safely and efficiently. They use encryption to protect your data, and again, they use a global deduplication scheme so that multiple copies of the same data, even across source systems, is only transmitted between the sites one time. This greatly reduces your network bandwidth requirements, especially across the WAN, getting your data to the second site or into the cloud. I mean, all these operations are performed within our framework of our workflow. Workflow describes the ability to plan your migration. That includes adding and discovering servers that need to be moved, and grabbing the configuration information about them, and organizing it into plans, which are replicated or which represent the systems to be replicated or protected or transferred as one group. We then initiate efficient capture. There are no agents required to be installed on the systems to be moved or protected. The local instance reaches out and grabs anything it needs from the emigrant systems in terms of configuration, data, and other information, capturing it intelligently using a hybrid method that uses a file system to direct block-based capture. This means that no zeroed blocks or unused portions of your drives are transferred, and no sparse sections of large sparse files are captured. We move only the data that's needed. Immediately after a capture, we initiate transfer from one side to the other. This replication again makes use of deduplication and encryption and compression, so that you have a safe and efficient transfer of all your system images to your target site. Once images arrive at the target site, they're transformed into the target environment's required format. What works in the Google Cloud is not necessarily what works in VMware or whatever your source might be. We also perform any other required modifications, inserting any required virtualization agents that the cloud wants you to have running, or virtualization drivers and things like that. That's all taken care of automatically with the system when recovery is performed at the target site. And finally, you can start recovering your systems in your target environment. For migration, you can instantiate your systems and begin testing. For example, bringing them up into an isolated network scheme so that you can assure yourself that the final cutover will complete seamlessly. In the case of DR, complete DR tests can be performed in the cloud at a whim anytime you need to make sure that your disaster recovery process will work when you need it. In both cases, once you've moved data over and done your testing, you'll have accumulated changes on your source side that you'll want to have moved over to maintain your recovery time objective in the case of DR, or to reduce your cutover window in the case of migration. In that case, you can resync after your test, which captures only the changed data since your last capture time. It's kind of like an incremental backup. And that way you can quickly move towards your final cutover or disaster recovery solution. In terms of how we do our job versus everybody else, a lot of solutions require that you have a live running system at the target site mirroring the system that you're moving or protecting at the source site. This requires an individual connection usually between each of those systems, and that presents a lot of firewall holes that you need to manage and protect, and presents a broad security attack landscape for people to try to get at your data. This also incurs costs of running the target systems in the cloud when really all you're doing is moving their data. The Sure Edge solution only requires one connection between the two instances running at the two sites. You only have one hole to manage in your firewall and one connection to protect, and it's a very, very narrow attack scheme for someone to try to get into. In addition, the target systems can be brought up on demand. They don't have to be running just to accept data. You can bring them up only when you need them for DR, or only when you need them to cut over your systems to migrate. This reduces a lot of cost in the cloud just to move data. The per-system nature of other tools also presents some bandwidth challenges in that they move a lot of duplicated data across the WAN. Even if you're deduplicating on each of those individual connections, if you're running the same operating system, say Windows on 20 systems on the source site, you're going to move that operating system 20 times to your target site. That's a lot of unnecessary bandwidth. And in addition, with all those independent copies going on, it's difficult to throttle and control the bandwidth you're actually consuming. Sure Edge, in that we only have one connection to manage, that is both globally deduped and compressed, greatly reduces the WAN bandwidth that's required. We deduplicate across all of your systems, so you only move the Windows operating system one time, no matter how many servers, Windows servers you're actually moving. And it's also very resilient in the face of network failures. Interruptions in your network usage result in picking up just where we left off. You don't have to restart from scratch. And also, a lot of products, when they move individual servers, they move them as individual servers. They don't understand the concept of, it hasn't updated yet. I'll give it a second to update if we're having a little bit of a network blip here. Okay, well, hopefully it will catch up with me. Computers are always chasing me around. Many products which look at your systems as individual servers and require or move your systems as individual servers, which means that you have to reintroduce your systems to each other on the far side. Do I need to reconnect maybe? Oh, there we go. Those systems need to be reconfigured so they can work together as they did at your source site. SureEdge, on the other hand, uses plans to aggregate and collect the information about multi-tiered applications like web systems or multiple front-end or load balancers, so that you can so that it understands all the systems that need to be moved, and they can be captured simultaneously, recovered together, and brought up in the appropriate sequence. All the required configuration information is captured in the plan, and it manages the recovery process and allows you to track it as it moves across to the target site. In terms of best practices, there are a lot of tools out there, and I say tools as opposed to products, because these really are just tools. They're built to transfer systems one at a time. They don't really understand or expect any complex interrelationships between systems. They have size limitations, or they only support certain file systems or volume managers. They're certainly not built to do WAN transfers and are very bandwidth intensive. They tend to move things without a workflow. You pretty much click and pray so that it shows up on the far side, and you're forced to track the progress of your migration project all by yourself. Failures are fairly common, and figuring out the causes of your failures and remedying them are pretty much left to you, and they're things that you have to do by hand. SureEdge, on the other hand, is built, and SureEdge Migrator is built for large-scale system migrations in DR. You use plans to model the multi-system and multi-tier apps and to track the progress of individual systems and groups of systems and to be able to follow the progress of your overall project. SureEdge automatically handles required transformations and there's built-in support for testing and verification, as well as special case operations within the workflow. It can even transform system characteristics, such as tuning up or down the CPU or memory requirements of systems automatically by your specification as part of the recovery process. There are no size limitations. It's built for WAN efficiency and resiliency, and has very robust error reporting for quickly dealing with any inevitable bumps that you run into in the road. All of these features, the data protection, the bandwidth reduction, robust workflow, and manageability, leads to a faster and easier migration. This gives higher success rates, greatly reduced risk, greatly reduced cost, and a much faster time to get your systems up and running in the Google Cloud Platform. And just quickly, a quick look at how effective SureEdge can be in enabling a migration. We had a customer that had a large number of older systems. In fact, they were kind of afraid to power these systems down because they weren't sure they were ever going to power up again. They wanted to move into the cloud for all the normal reasons that you'd want to go there, the cost savings, the maintenance savings, shutting down their data center. But they suffered from several roadblocks. They were running back revision versions of their OSs. They're always all the way back on Ubuntu 8. And their cloud required a much higher or a much more modern version of the operating system. They had some systems running as containers, which they had been experimenting with, that they needed to have converted into full-fledged VMs to run in the cloud. And they were also running a custom in-house application that needed to be that needed work. They needed not only to move their systems, but they had to upgrade their OSs, they had to convert their containers, and then they had to port and test their app to the new operating system and environment and get it all to run in the cloud hopefully without imparting any production impact. The original proposal was really kind of almost treating the cloud as a green field. They would bring up their systems by hand in the cloud, try and port their application, and then in the somehow, we're not sure how, move the data and server functionality over one server at a time. The original estimate was this would take about 6 months, which is kind of optimistic, and pretty much would incur a significant downtime to at least a portion of the app for the entire time. This is a solution that, I mean, honestly, even if it was free, it was going to be pretty painful and pretty unattractive. When we were called in, we looked at the overall system, the overall requirements, evaluated the project, and we decided to build in the OS upgrade, the application porting upgrade, and the testing into our workflow and process. We've deployed our Sure Edge instance on the site and immediately started capturing servers, and then brought them up locally in their data center within the virtualization environment they already had to perform the upgrades and port the application. The operating system upgrade and app installation was then automated and built into our flexible workflow. We also automated the conversion of containers into full virtual machines, injecting the required OS components automatically as they were recovered. All of these upgraded images were then replicated to the cloud, brought up, and tested there. To finish things off, once they got everything working in the cloud to their satisfaction, we fired off a final incremental synchronization, and a final transfer was made, and systems were brought up in the cloud, and the application was cut over. As a result, what was going to take over 6 months, we ended up moving all 200 servers in about 2 weeks. There was only a minor interruption to the product over that time. So you can see there's a significant amount of savings that you can gain by using a flexible and efficient workflow and the underlying technologies that it uses. With that, I'd like to hand things over to our architect here at Shoreline, Sanjay Kale, and he'll show you the highlights of the Sure Edge Migrator and take you on a test drive of the workflow. Oops, did you grab it?
Yeah.
Excellent. There you go.
Thanks, Jack. So I'll be covering the Sure Edge Migrator demo. The slide that you are seeing basically talks about how Sure Edge Migrator is deployed in a certain environment. So on the left-hand side, you see the Sure Edge instance running in your on-prem hypervisor. It could be any hypervisor. There could be physical servers or virtual servers running in your environment. The Sure Edge Migrator would basically capture all the required data, configuration about all the servers, and migrate them over to Google Cloud platform, which is on the right-hand side, in a deduped and compressed, encrypted manner. On the Google Cloud platform, you would also have one Sure Edge instance running, again in a virtual environment. Obviously, it is in the cloud. And then, based on how do you plan your recovery, you can instantiate the migrated servers into the cloud platform. So this is how the overall workflow would be. On the on-prem Sure Edge instance, you would basically add servers. Then you would plan your migration or the recovery. Then you would start the capture process, and then the migration would take place. And on the Google Cloud platform, once the migration is done, you can recover your servers, and we'll see how it is done next. Okay, so this is my local or on-prem Sure Edge instance. So this is based in Santa Clara, as you see. Okay, so as I said, like the first step is to add servers. So okay, so here you see already a lot of servers have been added. What you can do is you can go to the add button and you can specifically add a Windows server or a Linux server. You could also talk to Azure Cloud or Amazon Cloud, and then we would enumerate all the virtual machine instances that are running in those clouds, and we can migrate those also onto Google Cloud. So you can do that individually, or at the same time you can do bulk import as well, where we have a specific XLS file format where you specify all the server information, and we can do a bulk import of all those servers at one go. So so we are done with the addition of all the servers. What we do next is we go to creating the recovery plan. So here I'll just modify the current plan that I already have. So typically what we have is the applications are multi-tiered applications where you would have a web server running somewhere, you would have a database instance running on some other server, you would have some business intelligence software running on some other server. So you can combine all these servers together and make sure you are recovering all those at one go. Okay, so we can do that here. And as I said here, the target location is remote cloud, which is the Google Cloud here. And then, as I said, like based on the need, you can combine different servers, based on what kind of multi-tiered applications you would have. You can also specifically select, if you have thousands of servers, you can go and select like specific servers that you are looking for, and you can add them up. So on the next screen, you see the actual servers that you have selected. Here, like I have selected Active Directory instance, as well as there is one Windows server. There are a couple of database, and there is one load balancer instance. And we also capture the IP address here. And then what you see is the recovery side, where let's say if you have thousands of or hundreds of servers listed in one recovery plan, you can create subset of these plans based on whatever departments you may have in your company. Let's say it could be HR or finance department. So you can subcategorize even within the recovery set. Okay, and that you can use, for example, to sequence how these servers would come up in the cloud. Okay, so for example, I want my Active Directory server to be instantiated first, and then I want my database server, the master node, to go with that. I want the slave SQL node to come up second, and let's say the last I want my load balancer to come up. So you can sequence the recovery process here. And in the next screen, we see that the VM configuration that we have captured on the on-prem side. So this is the basic server configuration that currently, like all the servers that we have in the test environment, is one CPU and 1 GB RAM. Here you can specify what kind of CPU or RAM you want to have per server on the target cloud, as well as you can change the virtual machine names. You can also make sure if you want to boot up these servers once they are recovered on the target cloud. So that you can specify over here. So on the next screen, again you see the current network configuration for the servers that are captured. And what you can do is you can specify what kind of network settings you want to have once servers are migrated onto Google Cloud platform. You can specifically say that I want a specific IP address for a server. Or you can simply mark it as DSCP. You can also bulk edit the server list. You might have, as I said, like hundreds of servers, and you can just simply specify whatever network address or subnet mask that you want to create out of this, so that you can make sure that you want to go on certain servers to specific subnet or something like that. That you can specify here. So once this is done, okay. So once this is done, we go to the next screen where you can specify certain pre-capture operations for your servers. Like let's say before I start my capture, I want to let's say disable antivirus, running onto the system. So you can mention that in the pre-capture, operations. And in the end, you can review the entire plan. See, make sure that all the configuration that you have selected is the right one, and then you submit the recovery plan. Okay. So once you submit a plan, then you can go and actually execute the migration operation. You can simply select Run Now, where the recovery migration process would start immediately, or you can say Run At, where it would schedule the recovery operation, migration operation at whatever time you are comfortable with, based on your capture window or migration window. Okay. Okay. So you start running the job, and then you can go to the monitor job section, where you can actually see the progress of different jobs. Yeah, you can filter out based on the kind of operation. Like you can filter out based on the capture or the recovery. At the same time, you can also filter out based on the running jobs or completed jobs or failed job. For example, if I just go to a failed job, it gives me certain kind of information. So here, like let's say one of the operation failed, and it also tells you like what exactly was the reason, so that you can go and take remedial action and make sure you can proceed with the capture process. So let's say now the jobs are running, the jobs are now completed, and now we want to make sure that all the data has been migrated onto Google Cloud. So we go to your Google Cloud account, and you make sure, or rather you have the storage instance running in your Google Cloud. So here in my environment, I have this particular machine where my storage instance is running. I just go and click onto that machine where it would I provide the credentials. And this is the storage instance running within the Google Cloud platform. Okay. And here again, I go to my recover screen. Okay. And here I see whatever plan that was created at the on-prem side, and I can start a local recovery of all the migrated servers out here. Okay. So as I said, like we can change the virtual machine names out here. In the next screen, like let's say if I want more than one instance of the load balancer, I can do that over here. Similarly, I can specify post recovery operations. For example, let's say on one of my Windows machines, I want to enable antivirus. After the machine is recovered, I can do that. There could be multiple actions, like I want to install CloudNet software. You can do that. So you can specify a bunch of post recovery operation in a single go. We can also specify specific zones, where you want to recover, all these servers, so that you can do over here. And we also, plug out these specific configurations that GCP provides that you can select out here. Like you want 2 virtual CPUs or 4 virtual CPU with specific RAM configuration that you can select over here. And again, for each individual server, or you can also do that for by doing the bulk edit. For Linux servers, let's say the Linux server has LVM configured on the on-prem side. You can choose to continue with the same LVM setup, or you can specify that we do not want the LVM, but we want to go with individual disks. So you can do that here. And once this is done, you submit the job, and your recovery or the migration process starts. Simply you can go to the job screen and monitor, what kind of jobs that have been running. It would, tell you the exact status, like what state it is in. Okay, this is a typical screenshot, that you will see. And let's say I have recovered, one specific server out here, UB14. If I go back to my compute engine on Google Cloud, I see that, this particular server has been recovered in Google Cloud platform. So this is how, you would recover. And on the overall dashboard screen, either on the on-prem side or on the recovery side, you could see that what was my total environment, what kind of total servers I had, the number of servers that were replicated. I can also specifically check on whatever recovery groups that I had created. I can click on those and I can see their status. And that's how one can get overall broad picture of what was configured on-prem and how those recovery groups or servers were recovered on the Google Cloud platform. That's it about the demo.
Okay, thank you, Sanjay. And David, I'm going to toss it back to you.
Awesome. Thanks. Thanks, Sanjay. Thanks, Jack. Excellent demonstration there. Yeah, let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, and with that, that brings us to our two final poll questions. I'm going to bring up the poll now. So this is for the folks out there. There are roughly 60% of you who said that you were planning to migrate some servers to the cloud. The question here is roughly how many? Do you have 1 to 25? Do you have 1,000 servers to migrate to the cloud? It would be great to learn a little bit more about what kind of workloads and roughly how many servers people are wanting to migrate to the cloud. So while you're answering that, we're going to be randomly selecting some of you out there to win 3 different $100 Visa gift cards. Let me go ahead and close those poll results. And then bring up the final poll question because I want to go ahead and get to our Q&A time and our prize giveaway as quickly as possible. That is, if you're planning to migrate servers to the cloud, what's your time frame to migrate those servers? All right, so also if you have questions about Jack and Sanjay's presentations, now is the time to ask them. The Q&A session is coming up here in just a minute. Surely you have some questions about all the complexity and what it would take to get your servers migrated up to the cloud. So while you're entering your questions there, I'm going to go ahead and announce these prize winners. The first one is Gene Hamann from Minnesota. Congratulations, Gene. Second one is Anthony Moore from Georgia. And the third prize winner of the $100 Visa gift cards is Ralph Yoshika from Hawaii. Congratulations to all 3 of you. We'll be reaching out to you via email. And that brings us to Q&A time. It's time to get the answers to all your questions about migrating to cloud and about Sherline's solution for Google Cloud migration. So, one of the first questions I see out here for either Jack or Sanjay is about the Sherline focus, and does it support only migration to Google Cloud, or can you migrate to other public clouds like Amazon Web Services, Azure? And then the follow-on question I had to that myself that I'm interested in is, once you say you migrate to Google Cloud, could you then migrate from Google Cloud to Amazon? And then could you choose to migrate back into your own on-premises infrastructure if you chose to do that? What are all the migration options here?
Well, actually, the short answer is yes. We do support more than one cloud. Google is not the only cloud that we support. We have a wide variety of them. I'm not sure OpenStack we do support, although you can both as a public and private cloud, although some private cloud installations might require some work on our part. But we, again, migrate from anywhere to anywhere. So Once you do one migration, we can migrate you back to your site if you want, your original site if you want to do that, or across clouds to avoid cloud lock-in if you need to, across hypervisor systems, so from VMware to a cloud, then back to a Nutanix system or something like that. Those are all supported operations.
Very nice. So it gives you, kind of the ultimate flexibility, portability, independence that so many people think of when they think of moving to the cloud. If the price is lower at a different cloud, then they can use your solution just to migrate to that cloud. And if they ever decide they want to move things back in-house, again, they can use Shoreline and just migrate things back in-house. So I really like the flexibility that you all are offering here. Another question from the audience here is about deployment. So like, what's the deployment process for deploying SureEdge? Say at the 2 sites that you demonstrated there.
Well, in the Google Cloud, we actually have a deployment mechanism through Google Cloud Launcher. So it's pretty much a one-click operation to deploy within Google Compute Platform. In the on-site, it depends on where your source site is. For most purposes, if you're running in a virtualized environment, we have a Windows installer that will bring up the SureEdge instance at your source site. We also support other clouds. So if you're moving from a different cloud, we usually have an equivalent to Google Cloud Launcher to deploy again in a one-click fashion for your source site.
Very nice, very nice. And so these are all virtual appliances, is that right? These aren't physical servers that you're putting on premises. Is that
Absolutely
true?
correct. These are all intended to be instantiated within a virtualization environment.
Okay, very nice, very nice. And then once you deploy an application or migrate an application, let's say, to the cloud, how do you know it will work? I mean, I know the easy answer, if it's just one application, is, well, you log in and try it. But I mean, you're talking about migrating hundreds or thousands of virtual machines, so you can't easily just log into 1,000 virtual machines and make sure they all work. What do you all do to help solve that problem?
Well, and it's really a matter of the workflow. We have built-in capabilities and built-in stopping points in the workflow that allow you to test things along the way. So immediately after you capture, you can instantiate your servers that you just captured in your home environment to make sure they were captured correctly before you even bother transferring them to the cloud. You can also do your upgrade operations and things like that at that point. And also, once the images have reached the cloud side of things or your target environment, you can also bring up systems as many times as you want there. You can bring them up to test them, bring them up without network configuration or inside an isolated network, and do all the testing that you want to do to assure yourself that when you cut it over in the final steps or at the final time, it's going to come up and work for you.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So what about, I know you talked a little bit about it, but, throttling. We're talking about moving tons of data here out of, through your company's on-premises internet, connection out to the cloud, maybe thousands of virtual machines. How do you control the queuing and the throttling of that?
Actually, it's one of the configuration options on your source instance. There's a throttling schedule that you can input that says when it's okay to use how much bandwidth over your WAN. So you can do the bulk of your transfers at night outside of business hours, as if anybody had business hours anymore. But you can control when it is you control or when it is you consume the bandwidth, and you can limit that for the times that are necessary.
Okay, okay, very cool. I mean, we're talking about migrating virtual machines, and that's great if it's just a single VM, but what if it's a complex application with, multiple web server front ends and middleware and database backends and stuff like that? Can you group the applications together somehow, or how do you control that?
Absolutely, you can. And first off, it's not just virtual machines. We can capture from freestanding physical machines as well and instantiate those in your new and virtualization environment. So we do P2V as well as V2V. But to handle your multi-tier web apps, that's what the plan structure is for and within the workflow. It allows you to group the servers that you need to move as a group and specify how they're related to each other and what order they should be recovered in and in what sets they should be recovered in. So all that is captured as part of the workflow and planning process, and it just, once you set it up, it happens on the far side when you perform your recoveries.
Very nice, very nice. I mean, I hear a lot about companies using the cloud for maybe they're not ready to use it for production yet, but they want to use it for disaster recovery in case their primary site goes down. They want to bring up servers in the cloud that they've already replicated and kept synced up there. Is that something that you all can help with as well?
Absolutely. We have a product built on the same technology as a migrator called DR that allows you to, using basically the same architectural structure, perform the captures, do the efficient transfers to the cloud, and keep the systems ready in the cloud, either in a cold state or a warm state or a hot state, ready to come up and take over in case you have a disaster at your source site. It also supports the ability to fail back. So while you're running in the cloud and you repair your problems at your source site, you can then start moving the data back that you've accumulated in the cloud and perform the fail back operation using the same mechanisms.
Very nice. So Shoreline is a product that sounds like that you might not use just once to migrate to the cloud and be done. It's something that you might use continuously to keep data synchronized.
Absolutely. The SureEdge technology, both products are built on the same SureEdge technology, so you can use one to get yourself established and the other one to keep yourself safe.
Okay. Awesome. So, earlier in the event, I mentioned how Google was offering, free credit to use the Google Cloud. And I know if you go and sign up for Google Cloud, they do offer some sort of credit already. But can you tell us a little bit about this limited time $200 incremental credit for Google Cloud that you all are offering?
Sure. Actually, you're correct in saying that when you sign up for a trial with Google Cloud Platform, you're assigned a certain number of credits. And if you contact us through our website or through the email address on the screen, we can provide you with a $200 incremental credit for that trial time.
Very nice. Very nice. So people can contact Shoreline. You can get a custom demonstration of the SureEdge technology, and then also get additional Google credit so that they can, try out Google Cloud or Google Compute Engine really at no cost, at least to get it started. So very cool stuff, Jack. Very cool demonstration, Sanjay. Thanks so much for the event. Anything else you'd like to add today?
No, just one last thing. There are some additional questions that have come in that we haven't gotten to. We will make sure we answer those questions in the follow-on email that you get with the link to the recording.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks, everyone. It's been an excellent event today. And for more information, visit shorelinesystems.com. Thanks, Jack, and thanks to our audience for joining us today. I hope everyone has a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.